by ensuring availability and affordability. The belief is if we grow enough, food prices will come down.
Naturally.
But we also need to address the matter of insecurity because that is a big problem. So some farming initiatives were designed. Some of them with support from the African Development Bank, especially the dry season farming, which targets about 500,000 hectares for cultivation of some crops like wheat, for example. I can tell you that Jigawa State is doing very well in dry season farming, especially wheat. You know, as we go on, we'll see what others are doing, but it's significant to say that the initiatives, we are beginning to see the gains. The gains are not so substantial that people can, you know, make so much noise about it, but the gains are coming. And you can see we were discussing food prices coming down some weeks back on this program.
I remember.
Including maize, rice, and all that, you know, and people were quite happy about that because the whole desire of these programs that have been designed, some of the programs we'll talk about later, is to bring down prices. If it doesn't bring down prices, if it does not boost production, if we do not experience a boost in production, then those initiatives are failed.
Remember, we bantered about rice coming from each part of the world. So it tells you we can say goodbye to any food crisis if we face the soil.
Yes, we are not, that's what I said. We are not cultivating enough. And when we do not cultivate enough of the arable land that we have, we cannot stimulate enough production. And if we do not have sufficient production, it cannot impact on prices. So that is the goal. State governments must key into the idea. This idea of waiting for federal government to do everything, it's ridiculous, it's shameful.
It is.
Apart from some governors, like the governor of Niger, the governor of Kaduna, that will see practically that they are doing a lot in the area of agriculture. And of course, our friend, the governor of Ekiti State, what is beginning to do now, reviving those farms, those Awolowo era farms.
You don't forget or your governor too.
Yes, it took us, but I would love to see a lot more. You know, from Oyo, because of all the states of the Southwest, there is no one blessed with the quantum of land that Oyo has. So we want to see Oyo do a lot more.
Because it can.
Of course. Can.
MJ, I'm sure you remember the mad cow disease that ravaged the world some years ago. Abia State at the time, you know what cured mad cow? Interestingly, cyanide in cassava. The governor of Abia at the time, now Senator Ojius Okalo, undertook to invest in cassava plantation, and they exported a lot of cassava. My country, your country, has a lot of cassava. Here we are #1 in the world.
Yes, we are #1.
Yeah, so we can take advantage.
Yes, in addition to the expansion of the Agric Ministry to include food security.
Yes.
You know, the president in his wisdom also created a new ministry of livestock development. To cater for...
Which has split opinion.
Yes. Of course, it could split opinion, but then...
No matter what you do, no matter how good, people will still have,
their negative mindset. But then, what that ministry is doing today will, by the time it comes into full glare, eradicate the issue of cattle rustling, the issue between cattle, farmer-herder clashes. It will, if not totally eradicating it, it will bring it down to the barest minimum. And in that light...
we'll make money.
Yeah, we'll make a lot of money. The, not only cattle now, poultry production. Poultry production. The African Development Bank has given Nigeria a grant of $500 million, basically to the Ministry of Livestock and Livestock Development.
Yeah.
To improve and encourage young farmers who are going into poultry and cattle rearing. So that is very huge, and we have experts in agric extension, and they're also collaborating with a lot of research institutes. I mean, to ensure that this is not just theory, it's going to be practical, and that the money is not just warehouse in the bank. They are also working with the Bank of Agriculture in Nigeria here, with the Ministry of Livestock Development, to ensure that this goes to the grassroots. And this is in addition to what the Kogi State Governor is doing in local rice farming. The Ekiti State government also in cassava and cocoa farming.
Yeah.
I mean, to the extent that the Oni of Ife had to come down from Ife to Ekiti State to inspect. There's a farm by Kavista Holdings called Agbeyewa Farms. They are #1 in cassava farming in the whole of the Southwest, which is adding about 30,000 hectares into cassava by using young farmers. And the governor of Ekiti State, Biodun Abayomi, we call him Bao, as now, just like Jide said earlier, Jide has been in Ekiti. I mean, is replicating the farm settlement system, whereby everything you need is provided for you in the farm there.
Including now, DSTV.
DSTV.
They don't need to go anywhere.
A home away from home.
DSTV, internet, everything you need in the farm. So after your farm, you retire.
Access roads.
Access roads. So there's also something we call RAMP. It's a rural agric motorable for farmers. So that
in order to make farming attractive to the young,
to provide access roads to the food production hubs.
And now in Ekiti State, for example, you know, there's a cargo airport there. So when these things when they start producing, they can fly straight from Ekiti to wherever. So then in other parts of the country, to like you mentioned, Soludo imported a lot of tractors which are already commissioned. The same thing, the president himself was in Niger to commission tractors. That these tractors are being given to farmers to what one tractor can do, 2,000 men cannot do it. What a tractor will do in 1 hour. I read agriculture.
Mechanized farming.
Mechanized farming. What a tractor will do in one hour, 200 men
cannot do it
cannot do it in a day. We are trying to take farming in Nigeria from subsistence to commercial, mechanized.
One thing I must say, one thing I need to say on this is, you may not see the gains immediately. But if we sustain the momentum, and in no time, people will begin to see the gains. I'm particularly excited about livestock production. Because I've seen what Botswana has been able to do with it. Outside of solid minerals, this is what gives Botswana the most money. In terms of, it's a big livestock production. It's a big foreign exchange earner for Botswana. Just as yam is a big foreign exchange earner for Ghana. When you go to UK and other places, Ghanaian yam that they are eating, they call it puna.
You see?
Very fluffy when you want to do pounded yam with it. And Ghana does not produce as much yam as Nigeria.
As we do.
So we have no reason in the world to not be able to export yam the way Ghana is doing. We just have to be serious.
MJ, my trouble here is getting the man up at the bus stop, if you understand who I mean, to understand these dynamics. Because we have to go back to the soil, wait for the yield. Mr. President was once a governor, so he knows that as a governor, everything about land devolves on him.
Yes, so the states own the land, so governors must do a lot more. But governors must also work with the federal government.
Oh, yeah.
Federal government will be the enabler of all of those big initiatives. Yeah. But the state governments need to key in. I want to see more governors key in, tractorize much more land, and get people back to the farm to provide employment for the young people.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
You will see my documentary on Ekiti. You see young people saying, look, we are encouraged now, we want to even do more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they made money.
Fish farming,
everything.
Poultry,
I cannot forget the documentary you did on Kaduna the other day.
Yes, the Brenigwari area, where an individual made 1.4 billion from 3 crops. Yeah. Just 3 crops. And when you see them, you think these are poor people. If you can't even buy them for 10 naira. But these guys are billionaires.
Yeah, so
there's a lot of potential there.
It can be done.
We have to.
I think we also need to let our viewers know this. As we speak, there are more than 400 pilgrims in Mecca now. They will be climbing Mount Arafat Thursdays to Friday. Okay. Salah Day is Friday. From Beningwari in Kaduna State, from the proceeds from their farms.
Yes. And
to go to Hajj this year, you need a minimum of 8.7 million naira. That's the basic.
For your return.
Yes, minimum. That's
a lot
minimum.
of money.
Does not include what you spend over there.
Yeah.
The minimum that you require. So you can imagine a local government sponsoring, 400 people from a local government, not being sponsored by the state, from the proceeds of their firm.
Okay.
So, to show that agriculture has really gone to another level, we only need to encourage government to continue to provide that security, which will enable more of our people to go back into the farm.
May I drop this here? Today's Akwa Ibom and Cross River used to be, they were responsible for production of palm oil in Nigeria of yore.
Banga.
But that we are unashamedly importing palm oil is something.
From Malaysia.
We can say good night to that.
We can do a complete program. But let's move on, James.
Okay. All right then. Make una no blame me. Chroniclers of our checkered history would recall that as a pro-democracy activist, President Bola Tinubu, a Lagos state governor at the time, was a fervent advocate of fiscal federalism and restructuring of the Nigerian polity. And so the establishment of the Ministry of Regional Development to replace the Ministry of Niger Delta Development, which has now given birth to the 6 development commissions, this is a boon to regional development, MJ.
Yeah. Today now, the decision to is part of the decentralization.
Okay.
When people will expect the federal government to do everything, the impact of the NNDC, the Niger Delta Development Commission.
Yeah.
The impact.
Sorry, you mean NDDC?
Sorry, NDDC.
Yeah.
Niger Delta Development Commission. The impact of that on the oil-producing states, the impact of the development in terms of road infrastructure, provision of rural electrification, provision of pipe-borne water, then agricultural extension services, and what have you, by the NDDC. That is what is being replicated now in the creation of the Southwest Development Commission, Northeast Development Commission, South Development Commission, not
Central,
West, not Central, and what have you.
Name it.
So, and I think all the zones now are fully on board, and the government is giving them about 4 trillion in all the 6 geopolitical zones
for takeoff.
For takeoff.
Yeah.
So, and of course, I'm quite conversant with the one in the Southwest Development Commission, with the chairman as Senator Olubumi Adetumbi as chairman, and the former chief of staff to Governor Oyetola in Osun State as the managing director. He's a development expert. The name just skipped me now, but I think I'll remember in the course of the program. These are initiatives that will take development down to the grassroots, because now the Southwest Development Coalition will be discussing with the 6 states in the Southwest, for example, while the Southeast Development Commission, the states in the South region, the 5 states in the region, will discuss with them to ensure that there is even development, that the roads are better maintained. They will ensure the roads are better maintained. Then dilapidating infrastructure will be taken care of. I mean, they won't be waiting for allocation from Abuja to ensure that some of these things are fixed. So, regional development, you could see what we experienced in the days of Obafemi Awolowo in the Southwest, Nnamdi Azikiwe in the Eastern region, and Sardauna in the Northern region. So, development went to the grassroots, and we were not relying on oil to do a lot of things. We still give credit to Obafemi today for Cocoa House, the first high-rise. I
wonder if the listener, the viewer rather, would recall that, as you mentioned, the late Chief Obafemi Awolowo, the first stadium in Africa and here in France, first TV station,
WNBC.
All those things came to be not money from the center.
Not from the federal government, yes. From the regions.
So the development commissions are well thought out.
Very good initiative, but it must not be politicized. It must not be politicized. Yes. So, it's a very good development that would, and that's why, with the kind of money that is available to state governors now, citizens, residents should call their state governors to order. They are earning quite a lot now. They should challenge their state governors.
Some of them 3 times what they used to.
Yes, they should challenge the local government administrations, because there are some roads that you don't need the governor to come and fix. It is the local government chairman that should fix it. They don't need the governor. They don't need, and if anybody gets into a pothole now on a very tiny road, they will say, see what Tinubu is doing. Whereas it's something the local government can do. So it's the development commissions, they should set sailing and ensure that...
the idea of the development commissions is a good one, but I know that those who see nothing good in what's good, will say, no, it's a waste of time. It's just the opportunity to give job to the boys. This is how they think. If
boys not do job, how then go let us?
They even listen to them. People who are educated, some of them based abroad. You see the kind of sentiments that they express, and you wonder what has taken over their brains.
Rationality,
The development commissions will enhance infrastructure, will help us achieve economic growth and social welfare within the respective regions. Now, I've seen some of the work that the Northeast Development Commission has come up with. The Northeast Development Commission was necessary because of the destruction that Boko Haram had done in the area.
In that region,
A lot of the schools have been burnt down. Nobody in those schools. Schools are operating in the state capital. Of course, Boko Haram taught us a big lesson with the Chibok girls' abduction. That exam, that school certificate exam should have taken place in the state capital, for security reasons. Now, Northeast has to be rebuilt. And NEDC is doing that already. NEDC, Northeast, is intervening in roads, health. I saw some of their interventions in the health sector. So you see them intervening in housing, different areas. That is what we expect of the Southeast Development Commission, of the of the South-South Development Commission, which is separate from the Niger Delta Development Commission, as well as the Southwest Development Commission. So governance will be brought down to the grassroots.
Next door.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because when you go to the Niger Delta and you see where they've constructed bridges, where the Niger Delta Development Commission has constructed bridges, or especially under the very dynamic MD that they have now, Ogbuku, is showing that, yes, he's a man different from others. So we are seeing quite a lot of projects. So government is going to fund these development commissions, and they will be challenged in terms of what you are doing with the funds made available to you. So we will be seeing now intervention in road infrastructure, intervention in health, intervention in the education sector. Schools that are run down, we will see those development commissions bring those schools back to life. This is what we want to see. And the funding will definitely go to them so that they can be able to do all of these things. So it's a good thing that the president chose to do this. It just shows that he is quick thinking, he knows what is good for our people, and is delivering what is good.
Well, again, we must wait for these things to come to fruition, even as we work silently.
Yeah. Yeah, so the name I was trying to recall is Charles Akinola, is the managing director of the Southwest Development Commission.
Yeah.
He used to be the chief of staff to the former governor of Osun. And now Minister of Blue Economy.
Okay, then, let's go to our next story. You know, by proposing a whopping, we are talking now consumer credit, you know. Well, you know, let's talk education now. Let's talk education. In this sector, Mr. President emphasizes hashtag We Are Equal campaign, which underscores inclusive education, skill development, gender equity, and specific goals. Mention must be made of Nigeria Education Loan Fund, NEL Fund, and Student Loan Initiative of the government. The overall campaign also promotes the use of education as a powerful tool for change.
Yes, and Mr. President's view is that no student must be left behind by problem arising from lack of solvency on the part of the parents of such students. So the most indigent students must have access to education. If not for Awolowo's free education, some of the old people today who are academics, professors, who are excelling in various spheres of life will not have been able to go to school. So it's a good thing that the president instituted the Students' Loan Initiative. And the Student Loan Initiative has seen 500,000 beneficiaries at this time.
As we speak?
Yes, with more than billions of naira already allocated to the scheme. You know, despite mixed reactions from ASU and even some students across Nigeria, NEL Fund has already disbursed 54.2 billion naira in loans across the country as at May 3rd, 2025. And the repayment of the student loan begins 2 years after you've completed your NYC to enable you to have gained employment before you can begin to pay back. And 10% of the beneficiary's salary automatically gets deducted. This is done in some countries of the world, including US. It enables students who are not so rich to be able to go to school.
Indigent
yes.
ones, yeah.
Later on, they can pay back this money. I think that when you look at some of the best things that the president has done, the students' loan scheme is one of the most remarkable. For me, it's a game changer. A total of 299 institutions are benefited from the funds. 299 tertiary institutions, and they're even considering across the country, and they're even considering now allowing private institutions to also benefit, and the bulk of the money for this has come from the EFCC. The EFCC has recovered a lot of money.
That's it.
The current EFCC chairman has already set a record in terms of illicit funds recovered by him, proceeds of crime, so to say, and they are using these funds to fund NEL fund.
Okay.
Yes, it's not as if it's these funds that they are using to fund the NEL fund. So it's a good program for those who say what impact, what achievement has the president recorded, and what impact can they point to. If you are a parent who struggles to raise money to feed your, to sponsor your children through school, and you have a fund that takes care of tuition and even gives pocket money to the students, just so that the student can be comfortable through school.
That's a load.
You cannot say,
of your chest.
You cannot say that that is not an achievement, except if you really don't know what you are doing.
You are a cynic. MJ, the cynic said, if you think education is expensive, try ignorance. But for the present government, there's nothing like that. Everybody of school age must be encouraged, must be given the push.
You know, some internet pessimists, I call them e-rats, they weaponized misinformation on this NEL fund, to the extent that some zones of the southeast, those from the southeast, they refused. They don't mind them, it's a lie, it's a lie. So they refused to enroll. So when in the first 1 hour when the portal opened, there were more than 500 million requests.
Really?
500 million naira worth of requests from students in the first 1 hour when the thing opened, when the site opened. So when the initial results came out and they did the distribution per zone, they discovered that the southeast zone had less than 10% allocation. And now people, the House of Rep members from the zone and the Senate, they started shouting, hey, why did you exclude us? Okay, we cannot go and give it to your school. You must apply it. People did not apply.
You must follow the process.
You must follow the process. Because some people weaponized misinformation for them to the extent that they say, no, don't mind them. It's a political blah, blah, blah. Now, when they realize that no be not lie again, it is now not true, they now started out and they are now benefiting. And so far, like Jide said, the distribution is 54.2 billion naira in just 1 year.
As we
between
speak.
April 2024 and now, because it came into effect April last year. In just 1 year, 54.2 billion. And out of this, 30.17 billion goes directly into their tuition fees. They call it institutional fees. So your school fees, departmental fees, and what have you, 30.17 billion. And 24.4 billion is for upkeep of the students. Like every month, you get a stipend. A stipend. So this is the way. And where we are going is a situation where 170 billion has been budgeted for under NEL fund for institutional fees and 115 billion for student upkeep. So this is a government that is determined. This is the first time it is happening. Yes, we've been having scholarship schemes where only very few people benefit, and even those scholarships, yes, have been part of a scholarship scheme in the past in old Ondo states.
All right, MJ, please, let me interrupt here. A live broadcast of the inauguration of Renewed Hope in Abia State is on as we speak. So, but journalist Hangout will continue on other platforms. Yeah, you may go on.
So I mean, the success rate in terms of disbursement to date is 89%. Out of all the people, all the students that have applied, they have recorded 80% success rate, disbursement rate as at April this year, as at last month. So, which means those who, I mean, the remaining 11% is not as if they do not qualify, but then the school needs to verify. You need to upload your NIN.
Yeah.
You need to upload your BVN to ensure that no student is collecting twice. And to, I mean, you must upload your JAMB admission number, your matric number. All those, they must, all those are verified at the portal. And that to be sure that you are really indigent. I mean, the moment you file in your BVN, it will it will show what you have in any bank account that is linked to you. So that, because this money is meant for indigent students. It's not for indigent students.
Not for the
not for those
happily BKO cynicism is giving way. So the people are seeing better.
That's why I started by saying weaponizing misinformation.
You see, the thing is, there are people who will never believe. But success is the best revenge.
Oh, yes.
Success is the best. When people see nothing good in you, you shut them up
by
recording success after success after success. So they will just eventually just ignore you. They cannot say, oh, this guy is not there, this guy is not doing. So what I will expect of this government is to continue to do what is right. He should not think that, he should not rest on his laurels. We've seen an undisrupted academic calendar for 2 years on the bounce now.
That's it.
In our very recent history, that had not been happening. So, government needs to work hard to ensure that the academic calendar is not disrupted. President Tinubu promised this, that is going to put an end to strikes and all that. We are seeing that happening. So, and there are still outstanding issues with ASU.
Yeah.
The government needs to address those issues so that this uninterrupted academic calendar that we are having will be sustained. So, in the area of education, there is a need to continue to do good things. There is the what we call DOTS, an acronym for Data Repository Out of School Children. Education, teacher training, and the development of skill development, education, teacher training and development, and skill development and acquisition. So, the federal government is also showing a desire to encourage technical education. So, that is now free in the federal government-owned technical schools. It's now, education is free for those who have opted for those schools. The whole idea is for these people to come to graduate and be able to use the skills that they've been taught, so that they will now become employers of labor on their own.
And which would be a plus for the country at
yes, because that's what we want to see. So there's a need to continue to invest in quality education for Nigerian students.
Because that's investing in their future.
Of course, that's what it is. That's what we want to continue to see.
All right, folks.
No, I think in addition, let me just add that so many, I mean, the Tinubu government is also, it's also approved about 12 universities of medicine to ensure that the brain drain we are witnessing in the health sector, I mean,
it's halted.
It's halted, or at least you can have replacement.
Okay.
And also, the government has ensured that solar street lights are provided in major tertiary institutions. Then that's in conjunction with the Ministry of Digital Economy and as well as the Rural Education Agency and the Ministry of Education under Alausa. Alausa is really doing well. Like Dide mentioned earlier, he is constantly engaging with ASU and NASU to ensure that we do not have a break in the academic sessions. Kudos to him. I mean, since he got there, he's been able to stabilize that sector. And also the emergence and succession pattern in federal universities where it becomes a very tough battle for vice chancellors to emerge. I mean, he's trying to look into that to ensure that the best candidates succeeds the outgoing vice chancellors in those schools.
MJ, it can only get better.
Yeah.
It can only get better. Now to our next story. You know, by proposing a whopping 4.06 trillion naira for infrastructure development in the 2025 fiscal year, the president emphasized the centrality of infrastructure to the administration's development agenda. Of course, you remember the Renewed Hope Infrastructure Fund. It should not be lost on us. It is a vehicle to drive investments in critical sectors such as energy, transport, and public works. Might I mention that the 4.06 trillion naira proposed for infrastructure is the largest in our country's history, Majid?
Yes, and it's one thing to make a provision for infrastructure development. Is another thing for the approval process to be to be cumbersome. Now, in his ingenuity, the president at the Federal Executive Council meeting just last week increased the threshold of approval for ministries, departments, and agencies. Before now, if you have a contract of 50 million and above, it will have to go to the Federal Executive Council. So approval. If the Federal Executive Council does not sit for like probably 3-4 weeks, I mean, no, you can't do anything. Now, ministers or ministries can now approve infrastructure contracts of up to 10 billion naira at the ministerial tender level.
Come on.
This is a first that will change a lot of things. But it was, even if you have the budgetary provision, if you do not have the FEC approval, you cannot proceed with that project. But now, with this ingenuity, with this increase in approval threshold, then if you are buying goods or you are procuring services, supplies that is not infrastructure based, the approval limit is pegged at 5 billion. At the ministerial tender level. But the ministers and the heads of those agencies must not see this as a way to siphon money. There should be proper monitoring to ensure that this increase in the threshold of approval is not taken as an avenue. It's not seen as an avenue to fleshing their pockets, but that to ensure that this approval limit would enhance the jobs. I mean, this was approved for the FCT minister long ago by removing him from a TSA. So the FCT minister can afford to pay you 70% for a project that you can do. That's why you can see the project will be delivered. When you get 70% of the job, and with
all of those encumbrances,
may God help you. If we pays you money and you do not you do not
or even this man we are looking at,
Dave Umahi.
Dave Umahi, you know.
If we even check the texture of your concrete.
Dave Umahi goes about like with his measuring tape. He will put the measuring tape, see how high the what is it called?
Is that concrete?
Yes.
Or the
yes. They expect that because they will measure it has to be so centimeter and all that. If you do not meet that threshold as a contractor, you are in trouble.
Yeah.
You can cancel. This is a man who cancelled a contract awarded to Julius Berger.
Julius Berger.
It's not common for such to happen. But you see, look at the Badagry-Sokoto highway. Big project is being done. Look at the Calabar Lagos 700-kilometer Calabar Lagos.
That traverses 8 states.
Yeah, 7 states. Seven states. That's the coastal highway. Many people dismiss this. Oh, they've come again. These are liars.
Yeah.
Now, they've gone to show people that, okay, we've done more than 30 kilometers. They are going, I think 45 kilometers or 47 kilometers. That is the Lagos end. They are trying to show the world that, look, we are right on target, especially with the Lagos end. It's just symbolism. But people are saying, oh, they are commissioning uncompleted. It is to show you, those of you who say that, look, these people have not done anything. Because I hear people say Tinubu has not achieved anything. And I'm like, what kind of selective amnesia
is this?
Are we dealing with here? You may hate an individual, but you cannot say that he has not done anything. And because you are saying he has not done anything, he wants to show you what he has done. Yeah. That's what Umahi has done. With this, with the inauguration of the Lagos end, so that you will see it. You put is like in your face kind of
says thing. By December he will deliver the highway, Calabar Lagos. So it's been done in phases. The Lagos phase of it, which terminates around Akodo, is what they have shown us. They've done more than 30 kilometers of that.
Out of the 45.
They've done 30 kilometers out of
45. Yeah, they are sand filling the remaining 17 now. And as a matter of fact, what the permanent secretary of the Ministry of Works used to be the permanent secretary of the State House. In his opening remarks yesterday, he said they are not just working on this Lagos end.
Yes,
they are working on 167 kilometers as we speak. So they are on 30, they are on 0 to 45 on the Lagos end, and they have completed 0 to 30. The remaining 17 or 15 is being sand-filled as we speak. That's from Lekki to the Akodo end. Now, he said they are also working around the Delta State area. Now, they also started from Calabar. They flagged from Calabar and Uyo. So they are working at 3 locations simultaneously. But that's to shame the naysayers. That's why they
decided to
showcase
it's
not 30 kilometers.
So some are imagining that they are going to abandon the project. How can somebody show this much determination to deliver even ahead of schedule? How can you then say that? Because they've not spent up to 1 year on the project. You now say that they want to abandon it. No. Nigerians must cure themselves of this extreme pessimism about their country.
It's a malady.
And I just don't understand. So crazy. I thought about the fact I was in an hotel along with some of my guys, and we were looking at people using this road. They're already using this road in the night. They were driving through this. Yes.
Breakneck.
Yes, I was in the Kuramo area, an hotel in the Kuramo area, and we saw people already driving through this road. So, and you can imagine by the time this is completed, business along this axis, hotels will spring up, property will spring up, and people will make a lot of money. It will improve significantly the economy of this whole area. Travel time will be reduced drastically. That is what that's what infrastructure does to you. Infrastructure will galvanize the economy.
Jide, I cannot wait to take you to my Mkparenin if the road is completed.
It has been predicted that when it is completed, from the Ahmadu Bello Way end,
which is where it begins.
Where it begins to Ore in Ondo State will take you 1 hour 30 minutes or less.
Can you imagine?
When it is completed.
You think that was before 3 hours, we are still on that axis?
Yes, no.
And from Lagos to Calabar, when it is completed, it will take you between 3-4 hours.
On the outside, 5.
Max.
This
with
is
laybys and
there'll be a lot of motels along the way.
Yeah. Business on the way.
But people will just choose to be pessimistic because
you hate the man.
Because it is
so what does it amount to?
This is a man that when I was still covering the central bank, there was a time I was still a business correspondent between 2000 and 2003. I go to the CBN every day. Any day it rains, then you won't be able to do anything along that area. The Babish will have been flooded. This is a man that saw tomorrow where we are seated today at this Eco Atlantic used to be water. Babish. You can't, in fact, all the
whole of Ahmadu Bello Way.
Yes, the Ahmadu Bello Way. All the
those hotels there.
Yes, all the hotels.
Even Federal Palace Hotel.
Government, Ogun, Oyo, Ekiti State government that had their liaison offices, they sold it off.
Oh yeah,
they abandoned it.
Bishop Oluwole here.
Bishop Oluwole, yes, that Tiamiyu Savage, all those areas. You can't go to that place. Now today we are. This place is about 5 kilometers to the even main road where we are on where I'm
There's
sitting.
No fear of
no fear.
Submerged.
I just went to the waterfront with my son this afternoon. I said, "Come and look at this place." Before now, you can't even get here. You know,
and
a man saw this.
The white man had said the only way to create the future is to invent it.
I don't know why there's so much bad blood over the coastal highway. You go to some countries of the world, you see it. Is it a bad thing to aspire to have good things here?
Honestly.
I remember when Ambode wanted to do that airport road.
Okay.
Because the road was so bad.
You see,
so bad. It was a bad advertisement for Nigeria. He faced a lot of opposition.
Oh, yeah.
And he said, what we want to do is we'll wall it on both sides.
Yeah.
Which is similar to what you see in other big countries. Even Ethiopia, I saw something like that in Ethiopia. Now, he has delivered that road. In my view, it's the most beautiful road in the whole of Lagos. You are driving through it as a Nigerian, you are coming to your country, you will be proud. That is what solid infrastructure does for you.
10-lane.
Yes.
Road.
That's what solid infrastructure does to you. Now, this coastal highway, see him using his measuring tape. Umahi is the nemesis of indolent contractors. Look at him with his tape.
Yeah.
So he's a civil engineer and he understands the job, and we are seeing the impact of his good work.
His state is not benefiting from the road. And
Ebonyi is not.
And Ebonyi is not. And the
but
president,
he has shown passion.
He has shown passion.
He's doing his job.
Yes, and the president is not saying this road should start from Lagos and end in Ogun, the southwest. He's taking it to
7 states.
Seven states. And people are still are like, I mean.
You said they are not doing anything. You said they've not achieved anything. Now they showed you what they have done.
This is the road.
Now you are saying, no, why are they doing 30 kilometers of road?
All right, folks, let's go to our next story. You know, the Bola Tinubu presidency has introduced the Consumer Credit Scheme, which targets civil servants nationwide. In it, a disbursement of consumer credit to economically active Nigerians countrywide is in motion. The first phase is known as Credit Direct, which is the largest lender to civil servants nationwide. Built for takeoff in September, a first discounted direct consumer credit to over 15,000 civil servants per round is targeted. MJ, that's ambitious to the man who does not understand the dynamics.
Yes, it's a unique scheme that helped, that is targeted at civil servants, basically. Because you see these people, how much do they earn? Most of them, you hear so many terms from them. You have what they call papa loan. So before sharp. I mean, they collect housing loan, car loan, then the papa loan is for probably their children's education and stuff like that. So, but the government has come with this scheme. They know that, of course, a civil servant has either you have 35 years in service or first to 60 years for those in the core civil service. Of course, in the educational sector, it's a bit higher, and in the judiciary. So, but to make things easy for them, and this is like a mini grant, but you just need to pay little interest on it for administrative fees. It's going to be a single-digit interest to cover probably administrative and legal charges. So it's just like the student loan scheme. But something similar. So to ensure that life is better for them, they can plan.
State workers.
They can plan better. They can do mortgage. You can securitize the car you want to buy. You can sponsor your kids in moderate federal institutions inside in the country. So it's
give you generally the
enablement and enabling environment to ensure that you don't have to be thinking of the next rent or your accommodation.
Lose sleep over there.
Don't lose sleep while you concentrate on your job.
So far, the agency is called the Nigerian Consumer Credit Corporation. Has disbursed over 3.5 billion to teachers, medical doctors, security officers, administrators, and workers in specialized services as the first beneficiaries. They are the first beneficiaries. It shows that over 1.5 billion has been disbursed to federal and state workers in the education sector. Federal and state workers in the education sector. Then administrators in federal and state MDAs, that's ministries, departments, and agencies, have received more than 755 million. Medical doctors in federal and state services have received 600 million naira. So police and paramilitary officers have received 367 million. And Nigerians in specialized services, like the judiciary, the EFCC, ICPC, traffic authorities, environment, they have received 273 million naira. So in the education sector, more than 4,700 Nigerians are beneficiaries. In administration, more than 2,800. In health, more than 1,300. Police, paramilitary organizations, more than 1,260. And the specialized services, more than 750. So the money is already they are marked and being disbursed. So the president's idea is these people, they don't earn so much, and they need money to do a number of things.
That's it.
So the idea of the consumer credit was meant to help the lower rung
of the ladder
in the public sector, in the federal and state government. So, and some of the money being used also came from recoveries made by the EFCC. The same way that the EFCC released some funds, that it had recovered illicit monies, proceeds of crime. The same way the EFCC released it to be used by Nel Fund, some of what are being used now by the Consumer Credit Corporation goes to, came from the EFCC. So it's a very good initiative. I just hope that some of these very good initiatives will be.
Voted as the best TV station of the year. TVC News breaks into the core of every event as they happen. Following all nationwide big and impactful stories. Without the news from every perspective, covering every human angle. I am Veronica, bringing you the news you would want to watch.
Every major news story is with many perspectives and layered with different levels of impact.
Hello. What time did this happen? We will be right there.
At TVC News, we follow the big and major news, gathering the facts, witnessing the outcome.
I am here live at the aftermath of the approval of the new national minimum wage.
We are TV Station of the Year, not just for breaking news, but for being first, fair and accurate. TVC News, first with breaking news.
Voted as the best TV station of the year. TVC News breaks into the core of every event as they happen. Following all nationwide big and impactful stories. Without the news from every perspective. Covering every human angle. I am Veronica, bringing you the news you would want to watch.
Information is power, information is security, information is knowledge. On Labor Lens, we believe that working people around the world have real questions of their own. They want to know how the world of work operates, what it means to the employer of labor, how policies affect workers in the workplace. On Labor Lens, I ensure we engage effectively the organized labor, organized private sector and government to get out of them information workers are in need of. I am Sharon Jackson, asking questions that make you get sense of the workplace.
I'm Nifemi Oguntoye, news anchor with TVC News.
My day is usually busy and it's difficult keeping up with breaking news stories, trending stories, business news, stock exchange and what have you. But with TVC News on WhatsApp, I'm able to catch up with all the breaking news, real-time updates and trending stories on the go, right on my phone, no matter where I am. It's quick, easy and always on. And hey, you can join us by scanning the QR code or using the link on our X and Instagram. Why wait? Come to the side of news that keeps you ahead. TVC News, first with breaking news.
Every major news story is with many perspectives and layered with different levels of impact.
Hello. What time did this happen? We will be right there.
At TVC News, we follow the big and major news, gathering the facts, witnessing the outcome.
I am here live at the aftermath of the approval of the new national minimum wage.
We are TV Station of the Year, not just for breaking news, but for being first, fair.
All right, if you just joined us, it's still Journalist Hangout. It's a special Journalist Hangout this beautiful Sunday, and we're looking at the midterm assessment of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Yes, Citizen Jones is done with the first half, and I'm to take over for the second half. I'm still here with Babajide Kolade, Otitoji BKO, and Majid Jami. So let's talk economic recovery. Now, when President Bola Tinubu embarked on his economic reforms, with removal of fuel subsidy and floating of the naira as the biggest fallout, he envisaged a tough outcome. but he remains undaunted, expressing confidence that the reforms will yield positive results. In his speech to mark his 2 years in office, President Tinubu said the results are already coming. Okay, Bikil, the president, if you remember, in his May 29th speech, he said that the reforms are painful, but necessary for long-term stability. But talk to me. The question is, has the pains been worth it?
I think that we need to go back to the statement issued by former President Muhammadu Buhari.
Okay.
I think that's one of the best speeches, best press statements that my Oga, Garba Shehu, you know, a man that I had watched closely since the early 90s when we were both working in Kano, was MD of Triumph Newspapers. I think that was one of the best that he ever put together. Very good English and very thoughtful. And he made the point that, look, these reforms can be painful, but that Nigerians should be patient with the government. When you are coming up with economic reforms, people will not see the gains immediately. But there are other ways by which the gains will be manifest.
Okay.
For example, the president put an end to the conduit pipe of subsidy. I removed it, freeing more funds for the development of our country. Some states are earning now 3 times or more than even 3 times what they used to earn. That's enough money for them to do a number of things. I've seen many states now able to service their debt. Look at Jigawa and other states. They are servicing their debt now, which will ultimately free up funds for infrastructure development. So that is one. We were subsidizing the value of our currency at a rate that was frightening. And the government was broke. Ways and means and all that. We were printing money just to be able to get by because of those subsidies. Remember, the son of a former PDP chairman has gone to jail now over these subsidies scam. People cannot pretend that there was a scam going on. All of the presidential candidates campaigned on that.
Yeah,
they may be changing what they said today, but that's bad politics, and we know some of them for bad politics already. So this singular action, very painful, but it's not unprecedented. We've seen such reform in other countries. People are patient for the gains to begin to manifest. I do not believe in unnecessary symbolism. If we are to go through pain, let's go through pain and expect to see joy in the end. The pain associated with motherhood or childbirth, if you consider it, you will never want to make your wife pregnant. But at the end of the day, it ends in joy. The Yorubas will say, that is what we see. So the president took decided to remove the subsidy. He decided to harmonize the exchange rates. In doing that, we no longer spend the kind of money that we are spending to defend the naira. So ultimately, if we can improve production, production across the board, across the different areas of our economy, the currency will get better.
We look forward to that.
So that is what, in my view, that is what we need to do. We need an exchange rate that every one of us can be proud of. I still don't believe that this is the right value for our currency. But we started and we are achieving some level of stability. 2 years ago, or let me say 1 year ago, it was frightening.
Yeah, it was
at the point it was like 1,900, you know. So, but at least now some stability, and that boosts investor confidence. True. You know, so people have said, Mr. President, don't walk back on these reforms. I will also say, don't walk back on those reforms, because if we walk back on those reforms, all the gains that we made will be reversed. Exactly. And I'm confident that things will continue to get better. Across the board, some changes are happening. We are seeing now, we are able to pay some of our debts. The Sukuk loan, Legacy. 100 billion Sukuk loan. The president, yes, is taking care of that. IMF of course, the IMF, 3.4 billion. Legacy. I heard Rotimi Amechi saying that the money from subsidy remover is going to their pocket. It's a very responsible statement that Rotimi Amechi made, and he should be ashamed of himself. In a country where the president inherited about just 4 billion by way of foreign reserves, moved it from 4 billion to more than 20 billion. You are saying money saved from subsidy goes into pockets. 7 billion, we had 7 billion to pay by way of pay to creditors, including airlines.
Exactly.
The government came,
freed up, and
he came, paid that indebtedness, wiped out that indebtedness, and told anybody who has claims to come over. The CBN did that. And you are saying the money goes into pocket. People, politicians open their mouths wide to say absolute rubbish that they cannot defend. They know that in all cases you cannot, people are not interested in going to court. Okay. You know? So if you want to do a bad day, you shouldn't do a bad day just with the intention of creating, having a cheap shot at controversy. What Rotimi Amechi, who today is parading himself as the champion of democracy in our country, when is the direct opposite of that, amounts to a cheap shot at controversy. Because he cannot defend all of those things. It was the government that he served that owed all of that money that have now been cleared. It cannot...
the IMF.
Yes, it cannot be selective in terms of the truth that he sees. And Rotimi Amechi is not entitled to his own version of the truth. The truth is by nature self-evident. You cannot say that all of the money, when we can see clearly that states are earning a lot more, and you are saying it's going to their pocket. I mean, it's a silly thing to say. And he knows it in his heart that it has not made any sense.
All right, Majid, let's talk about the macroeconomic indicators. The GDP increased at 3.4%, you know, which is the strongest since 2014. And inflation is also coming down. But the question is, how soon will all of these macroeconomic indicators, you know, trickle down to the ordinary man on the street?
Yeah.
Timing.
Yes. Anywhere in the world, just like Buhari, former President Buhari said in his midterm assessment and goodwill message to his successor, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, we said Nigerians should be patient, that you don't expect the results of reforms to happen overnight. It doesn't happen anywhere in the world. It takes a small grenade to demolish or to bring down a 25-story building. If you come down in, we call it controlled demolition. Okay. It will come down in less than probably 1 minute. Yes, if you come down, controlled demolition, a 25-story building. But if you need to reconstruct that same structure, you can achieve it in 30 days. So when things get bad, to get it back to shape takes time. But our story in Nigeria is that of a tortoise who has been in the dungeon for 7 days, and somebody now came to rescue him. He's been there for 7 days. Brother said, Mr. Tortoise, please, I forgot one of the equipment that I need to get you out. It will take me just 10 minutes. He said, no, 10 minutes is too long.
Take me out of this
I want to be out this moment. He's been there for 7 days, eating shit, smelling, famished, and what have you. So that is the case with an average Nigerian and anywhere in the world. We rush in to get into the bus and also rush to get out of the bus. So,
even aircraft.
Yes,
people have their boarding pass, but they will be running into the aircraft.
Seat is
the
there,
boarding pass allocates your seat.
Allocate your seat.
Whether the aisle or window.
Yes. So your seat is there. Nobody will take your seat, but we'll still rush to get inside. So now back to what took us there. It's not always easy when things get bad.
Yes.
I mean, it's easier
to destroy than to build.
Sure. At a point, like Jide said, our external reserve was at $3.7 billion. Whereas Emefiele was lying to Nigerians that we had $33 billion. But when the audit was done, we had less than $4 billion, just $3.7 billion. It cannot finance 1 month.
Morgan they exposed us.
Exactly.
They exposed us to say, look, this is a lie.
Yes,
this is what you are. You have an indebtedness. You are not even. It makes no sense to even collateralize loans with foreign reserves,
or even finance our
with foreign
imports.
You are collateralizing loans with foreign reserves.
We cannot.
Things happen, but you see, we've chosen that. Okay, let's move on as a country.
That water under the bridge.
And those things have been addressed.
We couldn't finance 1 month of import. But now today at $23.5 billion external reserves, we can finance an import basket of 12 calendar months, from less than 1 month in less than 2 years. And this is, coupled with the fact that the $7 billion Jide talked about earlier, we've paid it.
Yes.
So,
also, the airlines are coming back.
Then, part of the ingenuity of this administration is this is the first time. Of course, we'll get to that when we discuss oil and gas. We are doing Naira for crude, which is so ingenious. It has stabilized the prices of commodities, refined products locally. So, it's not yet Uhuru totally.
It's encouragement to local refining.
Yes. So, the average man on the street wants to see. He didn't want to hear about whether your inflation is at 34% or so. He wants to be able to see that he can buy 1 derica of rice at probably 3 Naira or 4 Naira. Because another argument that we need to let Nigerians know is that they say your minimum wage, even at 70,000, cannot buy a bag of rice.
Now he's buying it. He's buying it.
No, a bag of rice goes at 56, 60.
Yeah, apart from the fact that the minimum wage cannot even buy a bag of rice. What does a nuclear family of father, mother, son, daughter need a bag of rice for
in a month? Can they finish a bag of rice?
Even if you are eating, a nuclear family, if you are eating rice morning, afternoon, night,
you cannot finish a bag of rice
in a month. So why equate that in?
I don't even know why everything, is ridiculous that when you have some argument with some Nigerians, they tie it to what goes into the belly. How do you, every argument will now be okay. How does it, what impact will it have on the market woman? Everything is not about food. If every achievement you want to tie it to what goes into your belly, then something is wrong. You are behaving like you are in this world simply to eat. You are not in this world simply to eat. It diminishes an individual who wants to end every argument with, what is in it for me?
For me, yeah.
Will it put food on my table? It's a silly argument. You can't keep saying, will it bring food, bring food to your table? Everything cannot end as food on the table.
Yeah.
Come on, you need to wear clothes, good clothes,
Shelter.
to look good.
Yeah.
So if we do not exist in this world simply to eat. Come on.
Man shall not live by bread.
Man shall not live by bread alone. The Holy Books already said, so everything you say, how does it come on? All those arguments. I just look at the people, and Nigerians are good at something. Somebody starts something. Even if it does not make sense, others are simply repeating it. Some of the nonsense that Rotimi Amechi said now, some people will be asking, and they won't ask Rotimi himself questions. The Rotimi was the person who closed the judiciary for a whole year. He's now posturing as a Democrat.
Yes, in Rivers. Yeah.
I think the only question
is the complete opposite of a Democrat.
I think the question
we are historians. We still remember these things.
Absolutely.
And he was boasting on TV that they were lucky that he could have given weapons to thugs. That when lawyers were marching through the streets, that he could have given weapons to thugs to go and beat them up when they were marching. That's the same person. He thinks that some Nigerians have forgotten. No. Some of us don't forget things easily.
We'll get the tape and play it for him here one day.
Okay. All right, gentlemen, let's move straight to our next conversation. Let's talk oil and gas. After the removal of fuel subsidy, the administration of President Bola Tinubu moved further to sanitize the oil and gas sector. The aim is to attract more investments. Now, one of these reforms is the Naira for crude policy. While more investments have been witnessed in the sector, fuel price has stabilized to about 875 Naira per litre. Now, let's talk about the oil and gas. I mean, do you think the president's policies, especially in the oil and gas sector, has brought some sort of efficiency and a shift in investor sentiment, in your opinion?
Definitely, we can get it better. The revolution, I'll call it a revolution, in the oil and gas sector, I mean, is something we should give kudos to the president for, especially his May 29 speech, because it takes a man that has audacity to remove fuel subsidy. Most of the presidents we've had, even Obasanjo that had a military background, couldn't do it, because, in fact, the president said, after that May 29th, President Tinubu said, he put it in his speech, they removed it. He had to, he read it. Extempo. It was not in the speech. He said they put it in the speech.
The subsidy is gone.
They removed it. That's why he had to say it out. It was not in the speech that was distributed. So he said, because if he didn't do it that day, they would have found a way to convince him.
To do it.
They will tell him security measures or what have you, because some people are permanently eating from it, to the extent that they were telling us we were consuming about 70 million
66 million liters daily.
Yes.
I don't know how
there was a time that they claimed we were doing 101 million.
Daily.
Yes. So at that time, even the Senate president screamed. The then Senate president, that one screamed. He said, at the rate that we are going, these people will say, not only him, even the minister of petroleum, Silva.
Yeah.
Silva screamed.
Yes.
Yes, you can imagine somebody who is minister. He does not even believe the figures. Some people don't know where we are coming from. Honestly. So it's convenient now for people to say a number of things. Oh, this government. No one is saying that the president does not need to do a lot more to convince Nigerians. Food prices are still high. Insecurity is still a big problem. You know, inflation is still high. In fact, the two big policies that the president instituted worsened inflation.
Yeah.
The value of the
floating of the naira.
Yes, you know, and worsened inflation.
The removal of
subsidy worsened inflation. Prices went up. We cannot deny. And we've been saying that he needs to do a lot more.
Sure.
To make Nigerians see him as a president who has a human face. But at the same time, we will not shy away from the successes.
Exactly.
In the oil sector, for example, he inherited about 500,000 barrels per day.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. with a lot of oil theft going on. Today, we are doing in excess of 750,000 barrels a day.
Daily.
That we can confirm. And we believe that his target of 2 million barrels a day can be achieved. It can be achieved. You know, the thing fluctuates. This month, it goes higher. This month, there's a slight reduction. So, we set up a committee headed by Governor Hope Uzodinma to drive us, push us to above 2 million. During the Jonathan era, we were doing more than 2 million per day. So it's possible. It's possible. There was a time when we even slipped to number 3 in Africa, behind Angola and war-torn Libya. So, but we are seeing improvement now. No matter how negligible people think that improvement is, it is improvement, all the same. And we are seeing more investment in that sector.
Okay. Majid, still coming back to investment in the oil sector. Do you think the policies have actually brought about investment?
Of course. There's a Nigerian firm, they call it Petroland. Petroland is drilling an oil well. I read it yesterday. They are drilling an oil well, which by the time they are done, would add at least 50,000 barrels daily. That's it. To drill an oil well is, I mean, you are talking of about $100 million. Shell, Chevron, all of them, because of the PIA, because of the stability in the sector now, investment is coming into the oil and gas sector. And now, for the first time in the last 2 years, we've not had fuel scarcity.
Yes.
Especially with Dangote Refinery. And Dangote Refinery has now also challenged the NNPC. So they are into competition. But one thing I also would want the president to do is to stop the NNPC and its subsidiaries from issuing import license for refined products, because we have enough capacity locally to, Dangote is even exporting. So the onus is on the Bayo Odulari-led to ensure that the NNPC, the Port Harcourt refinery that has been shut down comes back to life as soon as it's practicable, and to ensure that whatever we need to do with Kaduna, which money has been made provision for, and also Warri to be for Warri to continue.
When you say they should stop issuing import licenses, would that not go against competition?
Nobody will stop
for refined because we have enough locally.
It's even against the PIA.
Because we have enough locally.
They will not stop it. So, it's even against the PIA, because it's a free market economy, for God's sake. And if you stop importation, what happens when Dangote Refinery conducts its mandatory turnaround? What we then do? What will we then do?
But we have NNPC.
What they are running away from is the fear of a monopoly. Let's tell ourselves the truth. They don't want that monopoly to happen, and the president is very, very careful. Even Saudi Arabia, the market leader, continues to buy products from Nigeria.
From Saudi Arabia,
they buy from us. They buy from us.
Yes, for Jet A1.
And
energy security is very important. So they believe that, okay, if what we will not support is indiscriminate issuance of
import licenses.
I will support that. But not that totally will ban
import licenses.
Yes, in a free market economy, you shouldn't do that. Dangote can easily freeze those people out of the market.
If we read by price.
Honestly, yes, he can do it. He can do it. Because there's no way you will tell me that a man who controls the biggest chunk of the market today is the one dictating pricing. Always watch out. It is after he has reduced price that you see
NNPC now bringing it down.
So I can tell you that if he wants to deal with these people, he can achieve it. it will drive them out of town. He should leave them, let them be bringing it, but he can, by himself, drive these people out of business.
Because they don't want to do it at a loss.
Yes.
Once you bring down the price.
It won't be sustainable if he does that. I think it's just being gentlemanly. Honestly, the Dangote that I know, with the capacity that he has, look at the cement business, for example. It dictates the pricing. Because he accounts for more than 60% of the...
Exactly, the total market
share. No matter what Bua does, for example,
Bua and Lafarge,
no matter what they do, he's the big fish in the pond. He can dictate pricing. If you do not control the markets substantially, you cannot dictate pricing. It is the person who controls the market that can do that. And I'm telling you, he can drive these people out of the market if he wants. Maybe it's just been polite with them.
We want fair competition in the energy market and in the energy space, and we want a stability of the distribution of petroleum products. We don't want to see queues any longer.
Absolutely,
and I think we've been enjoying that.
All right,
we are enjoying that, and some foreign direct investment come into that sector, which in the final analysis will pay us. I want to see Bua, for example,
with his
come on stream. You know, his refinery is a little over 200,000 capacity
in Akwa
Ibom. When it comes on stream, the fear of monopoly that these people have
will be put to bed.
Will be addressed. I doubt if they will stop they will stop people from importing refine until some of those refineries come on stream, so that there will be alternatives to them. This is the way they are taking. Well, there are some of them that are spoken with. That is even against the PIA to do that. So, and the president is being careful. So that he will not do what he will not then regret. The way I will support what he said is to say, okay, in that oil sector, let the NNPC do much more than it is doing.
Yeah.
The Port Harcourt refinery, for example, the two units.
Yeah, the old and the new.
The older unit is the one that is producing now.
Yeah.
Why haven't they resuscitated
the new
the newer one?
The newer one, which has greater capacity.
150,000 barrels per day.
What are they? Why is this? Is this the old one that is producing? Fix that new one. Fix the new one. And ramp up production at that level. Then Warri, which is our most modern refinery, ramp up production there as well.
And let's not forget Kaduna as well.
Yes, Kaduna. Yes, they promised that they will resuscitate that one. By the time we resuscitate all of those ones, they will offer, in terms of overall capacity, like this competition for Dangote.
And we also
the competition that competition will drive down prices. We will then become a net exporter of refined petroleum products. So at that point, people won't be talking about these people who want to be bringing in. If NNPC will play its own role, honestly, and produce, because between them, they should be able to produce. By the time Kaduna Refinery 2, they should be able to produce maybe about 400,000.
If you put all together.
At install capacity for everything, then at that point, people will not be talking about these people, they are giving them this, they are bringing in product and all that. They won't, even those ones by themselves, they will know that they are in trouble.
They will use their tongue to count their teeth.
The combined installed capacity of all the four NNPC refineries is 445,000 barrels. While Dangote's single train is 650,000 barrels.
All right, gentlemen.
Dangote can produce at 100%, but the four can't achieve 100% because they are old.
So that's the difference.
Probably get to about 70 or 80% installed capacity.
All right, gentlemen. Let's talk corruption. While systemic corruption remains endemic to Nigeria, President Bola Tinubu vowed to fight it through policies that will discourage grafts. Some of these policies are introduction of consumer credit scheme and allowing the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, unfettered freedom to operate. Majid, the forfeiture of 753 duplexes, remains the largest seizure, made by the EFCC to date. But the question is, in the last 2 years, how will you assess the fight against corruption, by President Bola Tinubu administration?
The man at the center of the corruption fight by the Tinubu administration is Olukoyede, proudly Ekiti. Yes,
you had to bring that one.
No. I mean, he is from Ikere Ekiti, so I'm very proud of him. But I still need to do more. Now, it's those 753 houses. Duplexes.
Luxury duplexes.
Yes, I watched his interview with BKO.
Exactly.
And he said they were not even looking for those.
They stumbled on it.
They just stumbled on it from a third party. And now started tracing. And this, our Emefiele, when they confronted him with those documents, he denied.
Denied, though.
At first. But I think his lawyers now went back to him and said, you should let us fight it. Lawyers want to collect money. Let us fight it.
Let's fight it. They've returned some houses
in the past. So, after the 14 days notice had already lapsed, he now came back to say, you see, I have interest. I think I want to lay claim.
He said he didn't see the notice.
I don't just
ignorance
understand.
Is not.
He's not an
ignorance. This is a man that his Bible.
How can you?
His Bible is bigger than that
king
of.
Size Bible.
It's bigger. It's bigger than that of
Baba Adeboye.
Baba Adeboye and the man in Oyedepo, the man in Ota. The two of them combined.
It's almost popular geos.
Emefiele's Bible is bigger than the Bibles carried by the two of them combined. Very big like this, red.
Or even if we had the Nenches on.
So, I mean, somebody like that, Emefiele.
How do you even defend it?
How do you want to defend it? In fact, he should just allow it to go.
Should have left it.
I should have left it. Say, I don't even know.
He was an extraordinarily greedy man.
Yes.
Because how do you defend it?
This is
because
how do you proceed of crime?
EFCC was very clever when they issued out the statement that 753 duplexes have been confiscated. When they were when they were trying to trace it to Emefiele said no, he didn't know. It's not me.
It's not me.
Now you are now approaching the court.
I like the fact that EFCC has actually filed, fresh charges.
Oh yes.
That is this.
They've accused him of stealing.
The highest single recovery
anywhere in the world.
Anywhere in the world.
Okay.
Even bigger than that of Desiane.
Absolutely. Now,
who has found this kind of houses with Desiane?
If I remember in that interview with the EFCC chairman, you asked the EFCC chairman, does the president give you access, freedom to do your job? And he answered in the affirmative. Yes. Your thoughts?
I think in the beginning, this program, we demanded that he should walk to the president and ask for presidential approval to cleanse the EFCC from within. I think this is one of the most important things that he has done. No EFCC chairman has ever fought corruption from within the EFCC the way this man has done. Those who are stealing the EFCC exhibits, he caught them and sent them packing from the agency. Corrupt EFCC guys who were sabotaging investigation. Blacklegs who were working for the enemy, they were fished out and he sent them packing. And he confirmed to me that there's another list that is going to release of people that will be asked to go. Once you've dealt with corruption from within, you are going to achieve much greater success. This is what some EFCC chairmen before him didn't do.
They could not do.
Yet people used to complain that when EFCC guys are doing wedding, you will see them spraying money like mad people. They will bring all kinds of flashy cars. You see, people who are involved in anti-corruption, you are riding flashy cars that your salaries do not
you can't even
do not support.
Exactly.
So, having done that from the within, he is now able to go after corrupt people, and is achieving a remarkable result. The EFCC has recovered more than 200 billion naira and more than 3,000 convictions. On this score, it's done very well. In 2024 alone, the EFCC reclaimed more than 240 billion naira, $105 million, 753 duplexes in its asset recovery efforts. So ICPC on its part recovered 29.685 billion in cash and $966,000 in assets. So the two anti-corruption agencies, they are doing well, and Olukoyede has attributed Nigeria's improvement in the Transparency International Corruption Perception Index to the unwavering commitment of the president to fight corruption. Nigeria now ranks 148th out of 180 nations. That's scoring 26 out of 100, an improvement from last year's rank of 145 with a score of 25. So, whichever way that you look at it, the government is trying its best. A government that sanctioned the suspension of a serving minister over a fraud amounting to 37 billion in the ministry. You cannot say that it's not prepared to fight. But we are, just as Moji said, we still want them to do more, because there are still many avenues through which our resources are leaking into people's pockets.
Exactly.
So there's a need to sustain the momentum. But I think
especially for politically exposed person.
Yes.
We need to see that.
Yes.
No, yeah, of course, with what we've seen. And, you know, a lot of them will say, the money that you are talking about, I use it to do election for I asked him that question. Exactly. And he said, okay, when they say that, he was okay, write it down. They will refuse to write.
On a final note, there are still some, like Jide said, there are still some bad eggs in the EFCC.
Yes.
For example, in April this year, Justice Mosjid Soladada of the anti-corruption court in Ikeja ruled that $20,000 bribe collected by 2 officers of the EFCC in 2019 from a suspect, Mr. Olalekan Abdul, MD of CleanServe, and taken in as exhibit to be returned. He ruled just the money was taken in exhibit in 2019 from EFCC officials who took this bribe, $20,000. Those 2 characters, officers of the EFCC, are still with the EFCC.
They are still working.
They are still working.
Probably making other extortions.
That's one thing that you look into.
Well, maybe they will be in the
maybe the new list.
The EFCC chairman should ensure that this kind of characters are flushed out, because this one was tendered in court as exhibit and taken in as deposited in with the registrar of the Court of Appeal.
All right, gentlemen. Okay, enough of corruption. Let's talk insecurity. Okay, without security, reforms, no matter how well intended, cannot work. On assumption of office, President Bola Tinubu promised to tackle insecurity through restructuring of the country's security architecture and the use of technology. Now, 2 years down the line, the administration said it has made some progress in the fight against insecurity. Okay, BKO, let's look at this. 2 years, in the past 2 years, under the administration of President Bola Tinubu, is Nigeria any safer?
I saw a video of the governor of Zamfara State celebrating improvement in security. Now, Zamfara State is the epicenter of banditry in our country. Zamfara State has been exporting bandits to neighboring states. It's the headquarters, it's the home of bandits. when they kidnap people in Kaduna or Niger, they are taking them to Zamfara.
Yeah.
They kidnap the students of Confluence University of Science and Technology.
Yeah.
Kustek.
In Kogi.
Kustek.
Yeah.
In Osara. In Adavi local government area of Kogi State. They came, the bandits came all the way from Zamfara. Zamfara is the headquarters of banditry in our country. Nothing you fit tell me. Today, the governor is jubilating because the attacks have gone down. People know that it used to be way higher than that. Unfortunately for us, Boko Haram, there's a resurgence of Boko Haram attacks.
The northeast.
You cannot say that in Kaduna, for example, that attacks were like a few years back. Certainly not.
Yeah.
Things improved. The chief of defense staff is from Kaduna State. He set up new military bases, forward operation bases, especially in southern Kaduna that used to be targeted. Improvement have happened. I remember when I went to Kaduna, we traveled in the night up to, like we were coming back from southern Kaduna, coming back around 10 p.m. And they were telling me, the road is not good, or they were afraid. I said, let's go. Let's go. I was confident that nothing will happen to me.
Wow.
We traveled in the night. Yes.
That night.
We traveled in the night. God is the judge. We traveled in the night. And we had just a few policemen, like I think about 3 policemen with us. We didn't go with soldiers to some of those places. Yes, some people, places like Brennan, even if you don't want to go with soldiers, soldiers will insist that they have to protect you because it's a special case. In many areas, we've seen improvement. But what is going on in the Northeast will appear to have wiped out the gains that have been recorded. Let's face it, the 2 ministers of defense are from the Northwest.
Exactly.
So the allegation that the governor of Borno made, I have since discovered that the allegation is true, that they moved the from the northeast to go and
to the north.
Because at a point that we were not recording attacks in the northeast. So everybody felt, we'll stabilize that area. But the moment you moved to secure another area, the boys came in, the boys are now well armed, and they're attacking military bases all over the place. I know that after a while, even that will come down. Remember, there was a time that even Abuja, the attacks were constant.
Yes.
Today, how many times do you read the bandits have attacked? Even Kaduna, I'm not even talking about Abuja, Kaduna.
Okay.
Abuja, satellite towns and all that. There was a time they kept coming. We've achieved stability. You can travel on Abuja, Kaduna Highway now without security. I did it. I did it with our correspondent, Lupe Asom. We traveled, no security. And nothing happened to us. There are many places like that if you ask people, they will say, they are happy. I think there was even a video, we'll play it these days, where somebody said he's now happy, he's able to go to his family, has even added a new wife, somebody in Katsina State. But the pockets of attacks will still make people feel that, security has not improved. I think that the current storm that we are going through in the Northeast, we will weather it. I trust the military, they will weather it. In fact, some of the reports that we are getting in the last 3 days suggest that they are not playing with those boys anymore. So, but there is need for improved security. I think that if I'm to score the president in that area, I will not say that the president has done creditably well. I want to see improvement, especially given the setback that we have seen in the Northeast.
Now, Majid, I mean, it's 2 years. The next 2 years are very critical. What would you want the president and the security chiefs, do as a matter of urgency to make Nigeria safer?
Security is a very critical issue. And until the last man in Nigeria is fully secured, we can't say we have achieved success. And I won't score the president 100%.
Okay.
In fact, I won't score the president 70%. in terms of security. He has done well, but he still needs to do more because security has to do with a lot of things. Bandits struck in Bayelsa, and they put the whole of Bayelsa in darkness for 6 months.
Okay, when they attacked power
installations. And the cost of putting back the one in Bayelsa was put at about 1.4 billion naira. They go and attack the high tower power lines, like 132 kVA or more. So until we are able to crush them substantially, and apart from the attack on power lines, it's also affecting our productivity in agriculture because it's not allowing farmers to go to the farms, penetrate.
Especially Benue, which is a
food exactly.
Now, I think in Plateau State, the government had to carve out a safe area for farming.
Buffer zone.
A buffer zone. So this shouldn't be. There are some areas where, you can only grow potatoes there in the or apple.
So because of our time,
yes,
what should we look at?
We need
next 2 years
to strategize more. It's a distant strategy. Then we need to spend more and deploy technology.
Spend more on
security. Even the enemy is improving his technology.
Exactly. Because the enemy is improving the technology. Because
they are using drones now.
Yes. At times when our operatives confront these guys, when they hear the sound of
sophisticated weapons,
of what is coming from them, they will say, "Oh boy, this one not be being so." So, but if they also have superior firepower, it will be easy for them to confront them headlong. It's not they are not better trained than our men and officers. But I give kudos to them. They continue to confront these characters, but then until we are able to ensure that yes, all the local governments in Nigeria are firmly secured. We can't say that today. There are still some local governments in some states that are still under the control of the bandits.
And Boko Haram.
And not just kinetic, we should also look at the non-kinetic.
Both kinetic and non-kinetic measures to ensure that we have adequate security.
An improvement in intel. Gathering intels.
Intel.
Is very, very important.
Intelligent gathering. Very important.
Very important. So that we are not reactive.
Okay, but proactive. Absolutely.
That's the thing. I believe the banditry can be defeated, but we have to look at our strategy, our overall strategy, and rejig it. Okay. If one method is not working, we have to try another method. I believe that it's a stain on the government that we are still witnessing this level of banditry. Despite the fact that Nuri Badu and others are trying their best to defeat banditry, we are still facing a lot of banditry.
All right, gentlemen.
That has to stop.
All right, gentlemen. Well, it's a fine place for us to leave it. A special journalist hangout. And we also want to thank Citizen Jones. He was here for the first half, and I'm actually playing for the second half. Thank you so much. Moji Jami, appreciate you as always. Thank you so much for having this conversation with us. BQ, thank you so much for doing this. And that's all on Journalist Hangout on Sunday. Join us tomorrow for the regular episode of the program at 5 p.m. You can watch the repeat broadcast of this episode tonight at 11:30. We're on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I am Benga Oreshegun. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.
Every second, every minute, every hour, and every day, time doesn't just tick away. It counts down to political decisions that shape our world.
This country must move ahead.
Imagine the impact these decisions have on our lives. Some are consequential, others may leave us intrigued or baffled.
You will have no better friend and partner than Nigeria.
Step in and feel the frenzy like never before. Join me every weekday for an hour of fact-finding interviews, but questions cut to the core.
How would you say your administration has fared in these sectors?
I will dig in to get to the heart of issues, from local politics to global insight. Join me as I unearth the power plays, jaw-dropping revelations and the unfiltered truth. This isn't just politics, it's unraveling the stories that matter. Brace yourself for Politics Tonight every weekday at 8 p.m, where every decision echoes along the corridors of our lives. Politics Tonight, only on TVC News.
The TVC News at 7 and the TVC News at 10 are not like any other news broadcast.
It's the big news hour, the hour for the big breaking stories.
We've got some of the best reporters on the field,
taking you through as it happens.
It's fast-paced.